Over the past few months, the rising cost of health care has been characterized by a few creative illustrations. First, we've heard the chairman of the Budget Committee refer to the rising cost of health care as an 800-pound gorilla. Second, we've heard the president describe the rising cost of health care as a ticking time bomb. Today, I want to add a third illustration: the rising cost of health care as a massive, fire-breathing debt and deficit dragging. Now, you know, in the King Arthur legend, the greatest knight among the knights of the Round Table was Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot was also a dragon slayer. Now, in order for Sir Lancelot to strike down the dragon, he had to be equipped with suitable weapons. The same is true today with the rising cost of health care. As Congress contemplates ways to cut down on the massive fire-breathing debt and deficit dragon, it must wield the proper weapons and weapon. As you can see here, you know, we have the debt and deficit dragon. A few weeks ago, House Democrats proposed a graduated surtax of up to 5 4/10% on taxpayers making over $280,000 to partially offset their health care reform bill. This small business surtax would push the top marginal tax rates up to between 43% and 46.4%, a rate that would jump to over 50% in 39 states with Medicare and state and local taxes added in, and this is according to the Tax Foundation. So is this small business surtax the proper weapon to strike down the debt and deficit dragon, I ask? I have a chart here that shows not Sir Lancelot, but Sir Tax-a-lot on his way to slay the debt and deficit dragon with his mighty surtax. This is a Sir Tax-a-lot, as you can see here. As you can see from the chart, the surtax is a large, heavy, painful weapon and lethal to America's job engine, the goose that lays the golden egg, small business America. So take a good look at Sir Tax-a-lot. However, it is not effective against debt and deficit dragon because it does nothing to slow the dragon's exponential growth. The cost of health care that the dragon feasts upon will continue to increase much faster than the revenues that Sir Tax-a-lot can collect with his surtax. CBO Director Doug Elmendorf testified in front of the Budget Committee 2 weeks ago. Dr. Elmendorf stated none of the legislative changes looked at by CBO so far, including House Democrats' small business surtax, quote, represents the sort of fundamental change of the order of magnitude that would be necessary to offset the direct increase in federal health costs from the insurance coverage proposals, end of quote of Dr. Elmendorf. Clearly, unless Sir Lancelot, unlike Sir Lancelot, Sir Tax-a-lot is no dragon slayer. Now let's look at how the House Democrats' small business surtax works. In 2011 and 12, singles making between $280,000 and $400,000 and families making between $350,000 and $500,000 will pay an extra 1% surtax. Singles making between $400,000 and $800,000 and families making between $500,000 and $1 million will pay an extra 1.5%. And finally, Singles making more than $800,000 and families making more than $1 million will pay an extra 5.4%. Then in 2013 and after, these surtax rates go up to 2%, 3%, and 5.4% respectively. The only way that these rates won't go up in 2013 is if the President's advisors, the director of OMB, determines in 2012 that there will be more than $675 billion dollars realized and estimated health care savings by the year 2019. So, Mr. President, let me say that that's right. The trigger mechanism is back. The House Democrats have made the surtax rate increase subject to a trigger, and they've left the judgment on whether or not to pull the trigger in the hands of a partisan presidential advisor, not the nonpartisan organization like the Congressional Budget Office. As members of Congress, we should jealously guard our constitutional prerogatives to be the one branch of government tasked with deciding whether revenue is raised through increased taxes or revenue is reduced through decreased taxes. As the great Chief Justice John Marshall said almost 200 years ago, the power to tax is the power to destroy. So why would we hand such an enormous power over to the executive branch? I recall that over the last 8 years, hearing from the other side of the aisle, that the executive branch was attempting to usurp congressional authority. So where is that jealous guarding of congressional authority now? It seems to be very absent. We've seen this trigger mechanism from the Democrats before, and while it's been a couple of years, I've spoken at length upon this trigger right here on the floor of the United States Senate. So, Mr. President, I would ask unanimous consent that a copy of my speech of May the 9th, 2007, entitled "A Trigger and a Tax Hike on American People," be included in the record.
Without objection.